Oh no, it's happening again. I just opened the PR and I see the pyramid of doom. Look at this. To find the actual logic, you need a map, a flashlight, and a prayer. If your code looks like a staircase that never ends, you are not a bad developer. You are just writing junior JavaScript. Today, we are going to fix that. I'm giving you 5 elite patterns that will instantly transform your code from I just finished the bootcamp to I lead the engineering team. And the best part, these patterns actually make your life easier. Pattern number 1, the guard clause. Juniors love else statements, seniors hate them. Check out this junior code for a VIP check-in. It's a nested nightmare. Every time I see an else, I lose a year of my life. Let's elitify this with guard clauses. Look at this pyramid of doom. Every time we nest an if statement, our code crawls further to the right. To find actual logic, we have to dig through layers of else blocks. The senior way is to use guard clauses. Instead of checking if things are right, we check if they are wrong immediately and return early. This keeps our main logic, the happy path, aligned to the left. It's cleaner, easier to read, and your brain doesn't have to keep track of 5 different conditions at once. Let's do it together. Here you see the if statement, and this is the else statement paired with that. So instead of checking if the user is not null, we can check if the user is null and then throw this error immediately. So if user is falsy or is null, then I'll copy this code. We throw an error which says no user, and then I remove it. So we can see how step by step our code changes. Then I can also remove these curly braces because it's just one line. In the next line, again, instead of checking if the user has ticket, we can check if the user doesn't have a ticket or has ticket is falsy. So in the next line, if user.has ticket is falsy, then we throw another error which says no ticket. So we can also remove it. And in this stage, here we know that the user exists and also has ticket. So we can finally check if the user is VIP or not. So we can return then a ternary statement, user.is VIP. In this case, we return welcome to the VIP lounge, and otherwise welcome to the show. And finally we can remove all of these lines, and I save it. Let me also zoom out a little. See that? We handle the bad cases first and get them out of the way. The happy path stays on the left side of the screen, clean, readable, and 10 times faster to debug. Pattern 2, replacing the infinite switch. If you have a switch statement or a massive if-else chain to get a single value, you're doing too much work. Let's say we are getting the color for a status badge. It's okay, but it's repetitive. In 2026, we use object mapping. If you find yourself writing case, break over and over again, stop. You're writing a manual. A pro writes a lookup table. By moving these values into an object literal, we separate our data from our logic. Now, instead of a massive switch block, we have a clean one-line lookup. If we need to add a new status tomorrow, we just add one key to the object. No logic, no bugs, just clean data-driven code. Okay, as you see here, we have 3 if statements and then finally a return. So we're checking for a single value, and according to that, we return a string. And yes, you may want to replace this with a switch statement. That's also an alternative, but again, it's not a good practice. Here, we can use object mapping. I'll declare a variable, which is actually an object, status, underline, color, and then the keys would be the values for status. So success, warning, and error, and the values will be green, yellow, and red, like a lookup table. So success, green, the second key, warning, yellow, and finally error, red. Okay, I save this, and now the function. I store our function in a constant get status color, and then an anonymous function which has one parameter, status, returns status color, and then the status as the key. And if the status value is something other than these three values, we return the default color, gray. And then I remove this function. Also remove this. Yeah. So for example, if the status value is one of these three values, for example, success, here using this bracket notation, we will look for success in this object, and yes, we found it, and then we return the value which is green. And if it's something other than these values, we will fall back to the default value. Here it is gray. Look at that beauty. It's data-driven, it's faster, and if you need to add a new status, you just add a line to the object. No logic changes needed. Pattern 3. Stop passing 15 arguments to your functions. It's like trying to carry 15 groceries without a bag. Juniors, do this. If you forgot the order, the button breaks. The elite way, pass an options object. When you have more than 2 arguments in a function, positional arguments become a nightmare. Is the color the second or third parameter? Who knows? By passing an options object, we make our code self-documenting. Now, when you call the function, we explicitly say color is blue. Plus, we can set default values right inside the destructuring. If the user doesn't provide a size, we just default to it medium automatically. No more undefined surprises. Here you see that we've got 4 arguments, and here, instead of positional arguments, we change it to options object. I'll use an object notation, and here, instead of calling this function like this, I can call it in this way. Text is save, and then I don't need to remember the order, so I can pass, for example, disabled is disabled, false, size LG, and color is blue. And I save it. Let me zoom out a little. So you see that we don't need to memorize anything. Also, another bonus point is that we can pass default values. So here, if the user calls create button like this, we will get an error because there's no argument. But if we default to an empty object in this way, then it won't cause any problems. Also, we can set default values for these keys here. So, for example, the color, the default value can be blue, and the size medium. I save it, and let me also comment out this line. And then we don't need to pass all of these key value pairs in this object as the argument. So, for example, if we remove the color or the size, still it works. Now the order doesn't matter, and we have built-in default values. If the user doesn't provide a color, it's blue. It's self-documenting code. Pattern 4. Breaking your addiction to for loops. I know, we learned them in the basics, but they are low-level thinking. If you want to get the names of active users, don't do this. That's a lot of typing for 2026. Let the array methods do the heavy lifting. In the basics, we learn for loops, but in professional JavaScript, we use declarative methods. Instead of telling the compiler how to loop, managing counters and pushing to temporary arrays, we just tell it what we want, filter the active users, then map their names. It reads like a sentence. It's less code, fewer variables to track, and it's much harder to make a +1 error when you aren't manually managing the index. Here, instead of iterating over the users array, we can take advantage of the array methods. Here, I declare a variable active names 2, for example, and then, first of all, we need to filter the items in the array. So users dot filter, and here we are only interested in the active users. So if users dot active is truthy, then return those users. The next step is to get their names, because here we're only interested in the user's name, as you see here. So in the next step, we map this user to user dot name, and then I save it. It reads like an English sentence. Filter the users by activity, then map to their names. It's cleaner, it's professional, and it tells other devs exactly what you're doing. Finally, the bug killer pattern. The most common error in JavaScript is cannot read property of undefined. Juniors write deep checks like they are interrogating a witness. Please, my eyes are bleeding. Use the Elvis operator and the double question mark. The most famous error in JavaScript is cannot read property of undefined. Juniors try to fix this with giant chains of if checks to make sure every level of an object exists. In modern JS, we use optional chaining. That tiny question mark handles all the safety checks for us. And with Nullish coalescing, those two question marks at the end, we can provide a fallback value like guessed if anything along the way is missing. One line of code, 0 crashes. Okay, here we've got an if-else statement, and in this line, a long Boolean expression, just to make sure that nothing is undefined here. So if user is not undefined, and then user.address is not undefined, and finally, if user.address.zip is undefined, then we fall back to this default value. So there's a much better way to do it. Can define a variable, zip code smart, maybe, something like this. And here, we can use optional chaining. User, address, and then zip. If it exists, fine. If not, we will default to 00000. And I save it. So here, if we've got an undefined anywhere along the way, we will fall back to this value. It could be user or address or zip. But if all of them exist, then we will store it in the variable. Much simpler than this code. One line. If the user doesn't exist, it stops. If the zip is missing, it gives you the default. It's bulletproof code. There you have it. 5 patterns that prove you aren't just writing code, you're writing architecture. Which of these was your favorite? Or are you still a switch statements loyalist? Let me know in the comments. I promise I won't judge much. If you want to keep leveling up your career, check out our JavaScript Basics Finale on modules right here. or join the Elite Tech Club by hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, keep coding, keep learning, and as always, stay awesome.